Welcome everyone to our weekly webinar for the Scholarship of Technology Enhanced Learning Research Cluster and also for the ASCILITE Mobile Learning Special Interest Group and anyone else interested in what we're doing. So hopefully we either see you online during this hangout or you watch it later as part of the archive. So this week we have with us, joining us, we have Amanda, who's one of our serial participants. Great to have Amanda here. We have Paul Devine, all the way from Nelson, has joined us as well. Good to see Paul, although we can just see your icon.
Okay,
we can hear you, but we can't see you, but that might be good. And then our guest presenter for this week is actually Raj. Now, Raj has a rather difficult to pronounce name, so I'll let him introduce himself and pronounce it correctly. But yeah, thank you, Raj. Actually, just let me say that Raj is joining the team here at AUT. So this is kind of like a hello and welcome to the team and to the communities, a couple of the communities that we're involved with. And it's great to have Paul Devine all the way from Nelson, because Paul's been involved in our CMOOCs and CMALT and stuff like that as well. But Paul's actually from Nelson Marlborough Institute of Technology. So all the way down from the top of the south, Raj is being welcomed. So there we go. We can see Paul. Awesome.
Hey,
welcome, Paul. Hey, good Raj. To see you.
Hi, Paul.
Hello. So I'm just gonna hand over now to Raj, who will introduce himself, and let's have a discussion with who is Raj and what does Raj know and what does he do and why are you joining AUT's team and etc.
Well, thank you so much, Tom, and Amanda, Paul. Thank you so much for coming virtually and for such a warm welcome. I'm so excited and thrilled to be joining AUT CfLAT very soon, in exactly 1 month's time. So 24th of September next month will be my very first day at CfLAT. And so my background is I am a clinical audiologist by training. And I have lived and worked in many different countries and practiced clinically. And then from past couple of years, I am with the University of Auckland. And after doing my PhD in audiology, I did few postdocs. And from past 4 years, I am quite intensively involved in teaching undergrad students in health sciences. And I thought it'll be good for me to talk about my instructor-made videos, which I sort of accidentally stumbled upon and experimented with and found some interesting results. And I can also briefly talk about my successful completion of HERDSA Fellowship. I am right now, as we speak, in the process of completing my HEA Fellowship through AUT using the ARCO RNA framework. And eventually, at some stage, I would also be very, very keen to do my CMALT. Let's see when that happens. So at any stage while I'm talking about these instructor-made videos and any of the other things, feel free to just interrupt me or ask me something if you wish to. All right.
So I'd just like to welcome, I think it's actually Mark has joined us, but he's joined on Stephen's computer. So he actually says Stephen. I'm just going to mute Mark because he seems to be giving us a bit of feedback there. Actually, I think he's just muted himself. So there we go. Back to you, Raj.
Sorry, I'm just actually still having my lunch, so I will mute that.
Thank you, Mark, for joining us. And it's lovely to have you here as well. And so 4 years back, I took up a teaching fellow's position in this undergrad course called Population Health 302, which is community health placement paper, which is offered at University of Auckland. And this paper was an optional once-in-a-year paper offered to only certain students with quite high GPA. And this would involve them to be placed at various health placement agencies across Auckland. However, things changed in 2016 when this paper became a core capstone paper, which was then offered twice a year on 2 semesters. And it was open to everybody. So all the students who were to be graduated by BHSC must complete this particular paper. And so there was a lot of changes which happened at that time. So in terms of scale, there was a substantial change from around 30, 35 students to almost 110 to 130 students a year. And this also meant that we were to engage with way more health placement agencies around Auckland, to engage with them so that they could offer placements to the students. And I shouldn't be saying this, but the fact is nothing changed from the resources point of view, as you all would agree and must have experienced in the universities. So the resources remain exactly the same. However, we were facing several of these challenges.
I think Paul could probably feel your pain, because Paul's in charge of the online learning at Nelson Marlborough Institute. So yeah, those are certainly themes that are very current. Yeah.
Recurring themes.
Yeah. So for us as a teaching team, we had to adapt rather very quickly to address some of these changes around scale. So one of the things which we experimented with was instructor-made videos for students, because some of the assignments which we were using for our course were quite novel, and things like writing blogs, submitting a 1-minute career profile video, writing reports, reflection, things like that. And a lot of these undergrad students, they haven't really done these things in other papers. So it was quite a novel experience for them to be witnessed with these types of assessments, as well as being in a placement situation where they will be leaving the comfort zone of university, going out in the community, working, getting a slice of work experience. So what we did was we created a series of instructor-made videos. These videos are basically short videos, are anywhere between 3 to 5, 6 minutes. They are focused on a specific topic. And the idea is basically so that it scaffolds their learning around a particular concept which we are trying to teach. So instead of students trying to comprehend some of those concepts within the classroom settings for the very first time and finding it challenging, we upload them on Canvas a couple of weeks in advance so that they could watch it, they could revisit some of those things. And then when they come to the classroom, it's easier for them to comprehend some of those things. And these days, there's a lot of research picking up around instructor-made videos, which demonstrates that net geners, or the students of today's time, they have quite an appetite for audiovisual materials. So they have a very positive attitude towards them, and it also facilitates their engagement in the classroom, and also it seems to make the learning a bit more engaging. And we all must have experienced, if we have done teaching, that.
Yeah. Just one question that jumps to mind, Raj, is what about student made videos and the sharing of those? Have you experimented with that, where the students actually make videos and share them, and perhaps then the lecturer critiques those?
That's a very, very interesting point, Tom. What we have done in some of the online content which we have developed, we have invited students and partners to participate in creating those videos with us or individually. However, we were supporting them, and we have used those within our teaching practice. And based on my personal experience, I think you can clearly see the difference between students connecting with teacher who's teaching them regularly versus connecting with, say, ex-student, or connected with someone from outside the university. So I think it's a good practice to use a combination of some of these things in the teaching practice, rather than having the standard lecturer doing the whole teaching by themselves. And the point you're raising about students creating those videos and maybe using those videos within the live class, it's also a very interesting concept. However, I have personally not used it.
So I know, just sort of throwing that over a little bit to Amanda here. Amanda's done a lot of video streaming with her students, and she's found that, as far as I can tell, a very powerful way of, new ways of communicating and giving flexibility to students as well.
Yeah, we've had our students sort of create their own material, but I think one of the things that we had on our side was just that sort of the numbers. So we're looking at, like, 10 to sort of 20 students. So because you've got to actually teach them the skills of that technology, as well as sort of having them understand the concept. So I'm really interested to hear how, maybe what you'll bring to AUT in terms of offering ways to sort of work with those bigger class numbers.
Yeah.
So there's a challenge for you, Raj.
Absolutely, and I'm so looking forward to it. And in fact, I'm in the process of learning these things, every day as we practice more and more. I remember presenting. So the instructor made videos which I have used in my classroom. They were focused around the student assessments, and in the past 2.5 years' time, or 5-6 semesters, we have seen very positive response from the students about those videos. And I also had an opportunity to present some of this work at HERDSA conference, and I also visited University of New South Wales to present some of this work. And it was just so lovely to hear from the audience, from a lot of academics, that a lot of them are sort of practicing these things and experimenting in their own space. And it would be really nice to sort of share each other's experiences and see what has worked for me, and hey, could you probably adapt something similar, or maybe this particular thing could be adapted in a different way. So one of the things is the duration, for example. So especially if we are looking at content heavy disciplines, and then if they have to teach a particular concept, so instead of using a video for say half an hour or 20 minutes, which is too long, and we all know that research shows that the student attention pretty much drops after 15 minutes of sitting in the classroom. So these instructor made videos which we have developed, or which I have heard from other people using, is that keeping them short and keeping them as engaging as possible really facilitates students to learn from them. So duration of the video is very interesting thing. And also when we are creating them, so a little bit by using a little bit of a planning and coming up with innovative ways, it could be something by, say, for example, using role playing, or by inviting 2 or 3 angles, say a perspective of a student, staff, community. Bringing those things in can also facilitate better engagement and learning of the students.
I think a way of sharing these sorts of ideas, and I think that part of that you alluded to as key is sharing of that practice, and also the underpinning thinking is part of the aim of the development of our Scholarship of Technology Enhanced Learning research clusters. And both Amanda and Paul run clusters within that. And we have our symposium in February, which both Amanda and Paul were at last year, this year. So hopefully they would recommend it to other people, and it'd be great to get you sharing your practice there as well next February, Raj.
Raj, I was just going to jump in and say, part of the challenge for you when you start here at AUT will be sort of rebuilding relationships around the university with colleagues and people to work with. So I think Amanda will be an excellent, not first relationship, but that's a network that Amanda that you have over there in health, and that will be really good for you to build on.
Certainly, I'm already excited thinking the things that we could do. But also, I'm just thinking, did you present at the CAFIA conference at AUT South? No, there was someone. Oh, okay. So there was someone from, maybe it was a colleague.
It must be someone with the same haircut.
Yeah. No, there was certainly someone.
There isn't someone with the same haircut.
Yeah.
We were just actually discussing that before we started the hangout. But anyway, it's
Mark, I absolutely take your point on board, and I'm so looking forward to coming on board and in a month's time and meet so many amazing people, because I have been watching some of these webinars which Tom has been running, and the sort of amazing work people are doing at AUT is just phenomenal. And I think if I could contribute in any way by building relationship with people, knowing a little bit of more of what they are doing, and probably contribute my little bit of knowledge which I have, so that we can create a better community, will be amazing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Raj, there should not be an if in there. You will be contributing, you will be building. That's why we appointed you.
Hey, Paul, have you got any questions for Raj at this point?
Not that I can think of right now.
Well, I'll let you think about some questions, and then we'll throw it back to you. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would also like to share this experience of trying to run a little pre-conference workshop about some of these instructor-made videos, because a lot of teachers at the university, they want to experiment with these. And when I ran that pre-conference workshop, in a roughly 2.5 to 3 hours time, it was amazing to see that how people with different experience and from different backgrounds could put their heads together and create their own instructor-made videos using smartphones. So that was one of the outcome of that workshop, where we had people working in small groups and coming up with the instructor-made videos, planning it, shooting it, and then eventually sharing it with the whole group. And then the feedback from a lot of those people were that this is not as complicated as we were thinking. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that and empowering people with simple technology that they actually already own is very, very powerful. And we try to do the same with students as well. But yeah,
fantastic
ideas.
And I think having staff working together is very empowering, because it can sort of feel a bit intimidating thinking that you've got to try and master some technology. There's sort of a bit of a fear about it. And I think if you can sort of build this network of people that it's okay, that's our experience with Tom, just trying things out and miserably failing, but knowing that that's okay. And
I still remember Tom shoving a video, like a video camera in my face.
Oh, it was a smartphone.
A smartphone. It was a smartphone.
Yeah. Just stretching your boundaries.
That's good. Yeah, that was real good.
So Amanda, what? Yes, go ahead, Paul.
Did you find what was your target time for video? Was it 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or what did you?
That's a very good question, Paul. Most of the instructor-made videos which I have been involved with, we try to keep the duration short. So most of these videos are anywhere between 3.5 minutes to 5.5 minutes, not more than that. Yes. And I think there is also a component of discipline here. The duration could vary based on the discipline as well. So I think there's a little bit of a flexibility, and the literature talks about that the maximum is probably around 10 to 11 minutes. We should avoid going to 15, 20, 30 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to ask Amanda about how her experience has been in terms of facilitating students to come up with those videos. And do students have different approach and take compared to some of the staff you have worked with, or?
Well, we haven't really had them do instructional video, but just experimenting with making making short videos, and even doing a bit of editing and adding sort of music and titles. And so most of the students can sort of make a 5-minute video. But again, it's a very sort of small group. In terms of staff, I think that's a tricky bit, is to try and the sort of like you've got preaching to the choir, the ones that are really into it, there's no problems. It's about how do you sort of empower and encourage ones that are sort of don't see a need for sort of shifting with the times, and almost sort of see technology as a bit of just sort of shiny extra stuff that actually will probably is just a passing phase, and then we'll get back to traditional teaching. So I find it very sort of frustrating, and but I think it's widespread. It's not just everyone seems to have. Sorry, I've gone a bit dark. I'm sitting by a power plug, so that my phone doesn't die.
That's all right.
This is perfect. I think students, it's not that students always have a very positive, because they are quite familiar with a lot of these latest technology. So even when they have to be involved in some of these things, sometimes they can show a bit of resistance as well. I remember when we very first time introduced a video assignment, where the students had to make a 1-minute video about the knowledge, skills, and abilities they have gained over a semester's time and submit it back to us. unanimously, a majority of the feedback which we received was that, oh, this was nerve-wracking, and we were very anxious. However, the bright side was a lot of them mentioned that although it was nerve-wracking, but we learned a lot out of it, and we're glad we did that. So I think it was interesting to see that coming from students. And also these days, a lot of times when people are applying for jobs and interviews, the potential employers are asking people to sort of shoot a minute or 2 minutes video and send it to them before even meeting them in person. So
yeah,
so it's
we've had very similar experience. Yeah, I have an audio question as an assessment, and yeah, in the first year we got them to use their phones, and honestly, yeah, it was sort of a big sort of assumption that I had made that they would be able to make a little 1 minute audio on their phone, and it was just beyond many of them, and that sort of level of anxiety. And that was sort of quite surprising for me. Yeah.
I agree. And I think based on my experience, the thing which has worked for me in my course was that to have this very open and honest conversation with the students, and trying to demonstrate the connection between what we are proposing and the relevance to them. Once they establish that connection, then it's easier for them to cross that bridge, I think. Of course, it's a challenging process, and it doesn't happen very smoothly sometimes, and it's not a quick process, but it's a work in progress.
Can I just say one thing from my perspective? I think the first time Tom shot a video of our whole team and walked around the class interviewing our whole team. And I can't remember the name of the app, Tom.
It was Apple Clips.
Apple Clips. And there was something about that app, because it kind of abstracted the video, it kind of made the video look cool. It kind of felt like there was an extra layer of protection between you and the video itself. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I felt kind of less vulnerable making video on that.
Okay.
Because I don't know why. You know what I mean? It was like, it felt it was a softer, and also the way Tom did that was we all had to jump in at the one time. You know, Tom just walked around the room, and he didn't even ask permission or anything.
Don't tell anyone.
And that kind of broke that kind of like, he did it like, this is a normal thing. We do this at AUT all the time, which is probably not true.
He'd never done it before.
But we went with it because, okay, this is what you do, obviously. And so the next time he pulled out the smartphone and videoed me, it was not such a big deal.
Okay.
And I guess there are kind of ways of introducing people to the technology which is a bit gentler.
Yep. I
think sort of trying to build that culture of taking away the fear factor with technology, I think is quite crucial, and just making it integrated into your daily workflow.
Absolutely. And I think another angle to that is I have heard some of the students mentioning that before even they could come to our class, the very first class, because a lot of our material was available to them through Canvas, and they have seen some of those videos, introductory videos, short ones. They said that they felt they sort of knew me before even meeting me. So, which is great, because that sort of, it is breaking the barrier between and facilitating them to establish that relationship with the teaching staff. So, although having that camera on your face can be nerve-wracking, and it can make us feel really vulnerable, but there are another side to it, that the students feel that, okay, these are regular people, and they somehow connect with that. And so that's the feedback students have given me, that it was easier for them to talk to me, or they sort of felt that they have this personal connection in a bigger class of 120 students. I think it's great if if that can facilitate, that relationship with the students.
I think it's an
Yeah, and I
opportunity.
think that,
An opportunity to like really be authentic,
Yeah.
so that you don't have to have this sort of polished performance. Because if I'm going to do a little video for my students, it's just like one take. Because if I was teaching in front of them, I only have one take.
Yes.
And and if I fumble, or if the cat jumps in front of me, then that's life really. And I think it's good for them because, as you say, Raj, they see that you're just a person, really.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think
hey, we've got about 3 minutes left, and so I just really wanted to open up to, are there some burning questions that you guys want to ask Raj? Because part of today is really just getting to know Raj and welcome him into the team, and it's nice to be able to actually have Paul welcome you all the way down into Nelson as well. So, are there other questions that what do you really want to know about Raj?
Well, I really want to know what is your role going to be?
Wow. I think I will probably know a little bit more once I actually start working. But so the title is I'm a senior lecturer. I'm an academic developer, and I will be working with. It's very likely that I'll be working with the STEM people. So health faculty could be a part where I'll be working with academics to facilitate them to incorporate innovation and curriculum design, redesigning and stuff like that. So that's my understanding. That might change and evolve.
And of course, Raj's current expertise has been in audiology and tinnitus. So we can make use of that somehow. We're all getting older and losing our hearing, like Paul.
Speak for yourself.
Paul, it was lovely to see you, and thank you so much for coming today. And do you come towards the city campus at some stage in say a semester's time or at all?
No, I'm based in the South Island, so I only get to Auckland like once a year.
Okay.
But last time I came to Auckland, I came to AUT, so.
Okay.
So I'd like to meet you in person.
I would hope so too. Maybe one day I'll get to see you as well. Yes.
Yeah, so that's another plug for our SOTEL Symposium in February.
Yes.
Hey, well, our time's pretty much up, but it's been great having Raj here and just getting to know you a little bit and quizzing you and having some fun. And we're really looking forward to having you on the team, Raj. So thanks for Amanda and Paul for joining us today, and for Raj for telling us a bit about himself and what he's been involved in. And thank you all for watching.
Can I squeeze in one last question?
Yeah.
So
sure.
just about the technical part of it. You're talking about the video, Raj. Did you uploaded those to YouTube and then you connected through Canvas to those?
The videos are available. I have a YouTube channel as well. So nice plugin. So I upload everything on YouTube, and it's available to anyone. And I also use learning technologies such as Canvas and Moodle and other places where I specifically use particular videos which are needed there. But I also direct students to access them through YouTube as well.
Right.
So what we'll get Raj to do is to actually put a post and a link to his YouTube channel in the Google Plus communities for the CMALT, CMUC and ASCILITEMLSIG. Excellent.
Cool.
Great question. Nice
to meet you.
Thank you.
So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good to see you all.
See ya.
See ya.
Okay, we'll stop the broadcast now.